Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we have the Hollywood Racks Destination 4, and we're going to take a look at how it fits our 2023 Subaru Impreza. So the Destination 4 is one of my favorite bike racks because it can carry around 4 bikes, it's compact, it's lightweight, and it's affordable. Now, it also has its downsides though, which is it has a maximum weight capacity of 35 pounds per bike, plus it does not tilt away. So if you have extra heavy electric bikes over 35 pounds, I do recommend taking a look at something else. Those are gonna be more premium racks, so like the Saris MHS might be your best bet. But with a Destination 4, you do have an interesting way of how it holds the bikes on, making for a very sturdy fit, but also slightly easier to carry around multiple bikes. So let's take a look at that. The first 2 touch points are going to be your wheel straps. This is a strap that goes over the wheel and secures down here. What we're going to do is we're going to press this lever to disengage that strap. And what I like to do is I like to pivot it around so it doesn't get caught up in our spokes. So there's one strap. Here's the second strap. This does pivot around for different wheelbases, like we have a large bike here. And that's how that can accommodate it. Now up here we have our third touch point, which is our frame mount. I like the frame mount because this can go up, down, around, and even side to side for your different frames. Plus it doesn't sit too high up, which makes it easier to unload the bikes. Now, this may be a little tricky, especially for the furthest bike, because you do have to reach across the bike rack. But holding the bike with one hand, I'm going to take this strap out with the other hand. Might use my elbow to support. There we go. Once that strap is up and off, we're then going to grab our bike. Notice how I bring it over to where that triangle is, and now I can get myself some clearance to lift the bike up and over the rack. And now we can take a closer look at those cradles. Notice how the cradles are shaped in a U or wing manner. That's to make sure that you can carry even those smaller bikes and those larger bikes together, rather than a tray where you're sliding them back and forth. This one fits right off. As long as your 3 straps are engaged, then you're good to go. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna move this mast down, and this involves a knob and then a stand. And then once the mast is down, you can use either the straps from the frame mount or the straps from the cradles to secure it. So not its own keeper. You're gonna have to figure out what works best for you. But let's talk about how much space is gonna take up behind your Impreza. When you do carry around more bikes, there's more space that you have to consider. Fortunately, this is going to be very compact. So specifically, measuring from the bumper to the end of the rack, that sits at 43 inches. While it sounds like a lot, it is more compact than most 4x platform racks. You do have to consider you have a smaller vehicle anyways, so you should have a little bit more room to work with in your garage or in those tight parking spots. The next measurement is ground clearance. End of the rack to ground is 23 inches. Down here it's 19 inches. Compare that to where our shank is, and that is 10 inches. So there is a shank rise. So if you go up those steep inclines like driveways or hills, this does sit a little bit higher up off the ground. Unfortunately, not too high, because then it's the lower to the ground it is, the easier it is to lift your bikes on there. And also this still gives you that clearance for opening up your hatch. So if you did need access into your rear cargo area, taking the bikes off is gonna be what you're gonna need to do. Now, this also folds up to be more compact and neat. So there's gonna be a bolt over here that you're gonna loosen, which has a clip at the end, which I already took out. Once that bolt is out, you can let that hang there as you lift the rack up into the folded position and tighten it right back down here with that bolt. So this has an anti-rattle bolt that secures it to the shank. This fits into your 2-inch hitch receiver. We have an eco hitch on our Subaru Impreza that allows us to carry this bike rack. So with that tightened down, you're gonna lose that side-to-side movement, but you may have some up and down movement. And if you feel like you have a lot more movement, double check that bolt here. That's usually what wobbles if people don't tighten it down after tilting it away or folding it up. But this is what it looks like in the folded or compact position. Let's take some measurements again. From our bumper to the end of the rack, it now only sits at 14 inches away from our vehicle. Big difference compared to when it was folded down. You'll have it in this position when you're just driving around town and you're not planning on taking your bikes out just yet. But what does it look like behind the vehicle with the bike rack on there? Well, notice at its height, it does sit a little bit above your windshield wiper, but most of your window is visible. Your taillights are visible. It has this open grid design, so your license plate is technically covered, but still visible. And your backup camera is slightly offset and sits right in this opening right there. So when you go into reverse, yes, this will be in the view, but you'll also be able to see through the bike rack for if there's any people or vehicles behind you. If it's still a major nuisance though, you can drive around with it in a down position. Just make sure you remember how much space it takes up behind your car. Well, with all that being said, if I was going to compare this to some other racks, I really like this for a 4x platform rack at the entry level, but it does not tilt away. And if that's a major feature for you, maybe you might want to consider the Kuat Transfer V2 4x rack that has an open design, does sit much higher, but it also has that tilt away feature. And if you're looking to carry around some heavy electric bikes, that's going to be another thing where I mentioned the Saris MHS as an alternative. But for an affordable, lightweight, compact, easy to install bike rack, this was a look at the Hollywood Racks Destination 4, and you saw it on a 2023 Subaru Impreza.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.